current economic theory has a very limited view about what the economy is, right? What society is. So economists, they need to be capable of seeing the economy as more than just markets. The economy is embedded in society, and therefore our profession should stop treating the economy as a separate entity and should start situating the economy within broader issues such as, nature, environment, ethics.
One of the reasons why many economists have talked about thinking about a well-being GDP, really starting to measure many other assets like human capital, but also costs like poor healthcare outcomes or poor environmental outcomes. I mean, the idea that this does not get tallied into the GDP figure is really kind of absurd.
So what do we measure when we say GDP? Do we measure peace? Do we measure stability? Do we measure people can be poor and very happy? People can be poor and very happy. They basically, beyond a certain level, money loses value for some people. Not everybody wants to be a billionaire. All they want is to be able to eat, have good nutrition, have an education for their children, and they probably are going to spend more time on religion, on thinking, on philosophy, on the arts, than on basically hours and hours trying to earn more money that they're going to put in a bank.
So from pandemic to climate change to inequality, we see that we see what we need to do, but we're not doing it. And we're not doing it because of the power structure, the authority, and the unwillingness of the powerful elites to address the core grievances, to share, to redistribute, their wealth, their willingness to maybe be taxed more, to share more. So in a way, the market has mechanisms and ways and means of addressing grievances, but it's not happening because wealth is being accumulated in the hands of the few.
Definitely, it does a terrible job in all of the things that it sees as outliers or external to the system. The notion that that nature is external to the system, when the economy is all about human beings interacting with nature, and to treat that as an externality, to treat pollution as an externality, something outside the system, to treat the impact on the climate as an externality. This is so fundamentally conceptually mistaken that it tells us there's something wrong with the way we're practicing the discipline.
Life on Earth, as we know it, is being destroyed.
Yeah.
And this has been allowed to occur on the strength of an ideology of market freedom, of radical market freedom, an ideology that twists itself around in order to declare the legitimacy of these kinds of harms being treated as off-balance sheet externalities. The unfortunate but necessary collateral damage of profit maximization. And the idea that we would have an economics that serves our societies in which the destruction of the earth is simply an unfortunate byproduct is a bizarre and irrational and deeply ahuman idea.
One of the issues with economics and the way we think of economics as a discipline is that we typically just assign this, we make it very narrow. We think of it as, yes, linking to financial markets, linking to forecasting, linking to risk, linking to, what you meant, profits, and that's it. Economics has been around for a very long time. It's a discipline that has been constantly evolving. And there are still many evolutions that it will make.
Entonces, esa mirada, hasta que no cambie y que no se puntualice y no se vea el impacto que tiene, por ejemplo, respecto al cambio climático, por ejemplo, respecto a otras situaciones que intersectan situaciones de desigualdad estructural, vinculadas a la pobreza, vinculada a la raza, vinculada a las condiciones de género, a la posición de pueblos originarios y demás.
I think we actually do a better job talking about markets. We give a better, more usable definition of things like efficiency when we're actually focused on concrete questions like climate change. I think there's a good reason that modern macroeconomics begins with the Great Depression, because this is a moment when you really do need to look at the economy as it is. There's a lot of urgency to that question. It's obvious that the existing models aren't working, and it's also there's a political urgency to coming up with a better set of stories and a better set of tools.
I think when you have a crisis that confronts you, it forces you to come up with a different sort of economics. So use other traditions of economics which have better answers than the ones that are there presently.
Immediately after the shock, like for vaccines, economists have started to deal with that. And on climate change, I think we have now a whole discipline of climate economics, which presents many ideas, probably even answers on the economic side of climate change. I think what we need, and this is, I think, badly needed, we need all this specialization, highly sophisticated models, etc. This is the academic progress, for good or bad. This is the development by which young economists qualify for chairs.